Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. Once there was a police officer investigating a series of strange accidents, including car crashes, house fires, and even people who became aggressive with their loved ones seemingly out of nowhere. But after he got photos of these accidents, he realized they all had one thing in common. The same man was found in all of these photos. And the most disturbing part is his face is upside down. This turned out to be the urban legend of the man with the upside down face. He looks like a normal man except his face is the wrong way, with his mouth at the top and his eyes at the bottom. This creature feeds off of people's negative emotions like grief, terror, and misery, making these emotions more intense until you can't stop yourself from doing something terrible. And the worst part is he's completely invisible to us, appearing only in photos. So let's just hope that he's not anywhere near us right now. Follow for more stories.
10 days of urban legends from around the world. First stop, Japan. Let me tell you a story about the lady in the red dress. A friend of mine, let's call him D-kun, was driving around with a few friends when they spotted what looked like an abandoned love hotel. It didn't look that old from the outside, so it must have closed in recent years. They went inside and checked out the rooms. They didn't really find anything special, but they still had one room to go. When D-kun opened the last door, he saw something fluttering by the window. At first he thought it was a curtain, but then he realized it was something else. Maybe a giant doll? The doll's long hair was covering her face like Sadako. Its red dress was tattered, its nails were painted red, and it wore high heels. It was extremely pale, and its waist was unnaturally thin. There was no way she could have been human. D-kun's two friends joined him in the doorway, and they were all examining the doll from afar. Suddenly its upper body began to twist and turn, then his whole body was moving towards them at rapid speed. One of them shouted, "Run!" but the other friend was frozen in place. D-kun grabbed her hand and they all took off running down the corridor, then down the steps, with the red dress lady following closely behind. When they reached the exit, they thought she would still be behind them, but actually she was waiting in front of the door, as if she had teleported. They noticed another door at the back and managed to escape that way. They continued running, and when they got closer to their car, D-kun looked back. She was walking towards them, but only her upper body was facing them. Her legs were walking backwards. They all jumped in the car and took off at tremendous speed. After driving for a while, they parked at a convenience store and tried to calm down. They were all trembling and agreed to never speak of this experience again. Seeing the woman in the red dress is a bad omen. There are several stories of motorcyclists or drivers who have seen her on lonely mountain roads just before getting into an accident. Sometimes hikers see her before they go missing, or they fall mysteriously ill not too long after seeing her. She's usually seen in secluded places like the mountains or even abandoned places, but that's not always the case. She's not exclusive to Japan either. Much like the lady in the white dress, the lady in the red dress is also a common trope in urban legends. It could be a lady or sometimes even a little girl in red. They always bring misery to whoever sees them. You may also know Akamanto, the toilet paper demon who wears a red cloak, but that's a story for another day.
Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. In 1978, a girl named Catherine went missing after she heard strange noises coming from the woods behind her backyard. Her sister said Catherine heard the voice of their mother calling to her, but something about this voice sounded distorted and wrong. That was one of the first sightings of Siren Head, a tall humanoid creature with unusually long limbs and two siren speakers attached to his head with human mouths inside. This allows the Siren Head to play the voices of its victims' families to lure them in. This creature is usually found in rural places and small towns, making it easier to blend into the environment and disguise itself between the trees or as a telephone pole. So remember, next time you hear the voice of a family member coming from an unusual place, don't go investigating. And follow for more stories.
Japanese urban legends and folklore. Oni Baba. A noble couple gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, but unfortunately her health wasn't great. Despite the couple consulting numerous doctors over the course of a few years, none of them could cure her sickness. The couple then visited a fortune teller who informed them of a very grisly way their daughter could be cured. If they fed their daughter the liver of an unborn child, she would be healthy. The couple gave their nanny the task of finding the cure. The nanny was an older woman who had a daughter of similar age to the sickly child's mother. She wasn't sure how long it would take to obtain the cure, so the nanny gave her daughter a necklace with a protection charm and wished her well as she set off on her journey. As expected, the nanny could not find a pregnant woman willing to give up their unborn child. After weeks and months of asking many women without success, she decided she would have to take one by force. She took shelter in a hut in a secluded area and waited patiently for a pregnant woman who was alone to walk by. Weeks and months passed, then finally the perfect target arrived. She pounced on the woman, opened her stomach, and extracted the liver from the baby inside. It was then that she noticed something around the woman's neck. It was the necklace she had given her daughter. Realizing this was her own daughter and grandchild, the nanny shrieked wildly. Driven to madness, she turned into a yokai. She stays in her hut, luring in innocent people passing by, and feasts on them. So if you ever find yourself walking through Arachigahara and you encounter a small old woman with disheveled hair and an unnaturally large smile, stay away, because it may be Onibaba looking for her next prize. 10 Days of Urban Legends from Around the World. Third stop, Korea. The Sesame Bath. There was once a girl who was extremely conscious of her appearance, and she was determined to look beautiful at any cost. She would try anything to maintain her youth and beauty. She was told that if she put sesame seeds into her bath water, it would be beneficial for her skin. If she stayed in the tub for 2 hours, she would come out with her skin looking perfectly silky and smooth. And so she tried it. After a few hours, the girl's mother grew concerned that her daughter hadn't left the bathroom yet. The mother knocked on the door, and the girl replied, "I'm almost finished." After several hours, the mother's worry consumed her, and she opened the door. She was horrified to find her daughter's body covered in sesame seeds. The girl was picking the seeds one by one out of her skin with tweezers. The sesame seeds had seeped into her skin between every pore and wrinkle and grew roots, and she wept for her lost beauty.
You style your hair the same way every day? Well, there's an urban legend about a woman who always wore her hair in a bun, but for her this habit would lead to something terrifying. This woman loved wearing her hair in a bun, but she might have taken it a bit too far. She didn't want to style her hair differently or even take out her bun to clean her hair. Whenever she took a shower, she would just wear a shower cap to make sure the water didn't mess up her bun. At night, she would sleep with a towel around her hair so the bun didn't move. After a while, she had to put hairspray in it to mask the smell. Then her scalp started feeling itchy, so she would put more hairspray in it. Even when the itching got intense, she just applied more hairspray. But her husband finally found out about how bad the situation had gotten when he woke up one day and his wife was still asleep. He tried to wake her up, but she wouldn't move. She had died in the middle of the night. The husband called the police, fearing that something unusual might have happened. But when her body was examined, they finally took out her bun. Inside her hair, they found something terrifying. They found a huge spider had gotten into her hair, made a nest, and laid eggs. When the baby spiders hatched, they bit through her skull and ate her brain. If you've ever thought about getting your ears pierced, don't do what she did. This is the urban legend about a girl in Japan who tried to do it, then ended up with horrifying consequences. So this young girl really wanted to get her ears pierced. After some pleading with her parents, they finally agreed and gave her some money to go do it. But instead, the girl kept the money and decided to pierce them herself and let her friend help her. They heated up a large needle and went for it one day. It was painful, but in the end, she was happy she could finally wear earrings. However, this wouldn't last long. One day in school, she felt an intense pain in her left ear. Her earlobe was itchy, and by the end of the day, she had a headache. She went into the bathroom and saw her ear was very inflamed. Then she looked closer and saw a piece of white string sticking out of her new piercing. She picked and pulled at it, which only made the string longer. Now it was hanging out of her earlobe. The string seemed to be endless. The more she pulled, the longer it got. Finally fed up, she took a pair of scissors and cut the string. Suddenly, everything went black. There was a burning pain in her ears and her eyes. She began to scream. In the hospital, it was revealed that it wasn't a piece of string at all. She had pulled out a piece of her optic nerve and cut it. She would be blind for the rest of her life.